Whether you're a casual or well-rounded enthusiast, catch up with news, reviews, and more from around the circles of pop culture with us. This is Centaku Media, the axis of anime, gaming, and other otaku interests. Hey everyone, this is your host, Sanjo of the Centaku Media podcast, and this is episode 28, or season 3, episode 4 of the Centaku Media Journal. Thank you for tuning in yet again, and as always, we talk about the latest happenings in the world of anime, gaming, and everything else in between, so I hope that is something you're looking for. And in this episode, you're going to have a lot to talk about gaming-wise, but we do have some big news in the world of anime when it comes to two anime powerhouses in the U.S. anime industry, and also farewell to a most recent Shonen Jump series. I mean, what I mean by most recent is that, like, out of everything else that we've seen in Shonen Jump, this one, I guess, is more recent than a lot that you've seen, like One Piece, you know, that's going on for the rest of our lives. But yes, you'll find out soon enough. But gaming news, so I'm really looking forward to it. And one of the news articles I had to put aside until I get more information. We finally have more information, so that is going to take up most of our time. But this episode might be a little long anyway, because it's just a whole lot to talk about that you may have missed. And, you know, it's very interesting to me, so I hope you enjoy this episode. But before we go on, we're going to talk about community announcements for the Centaku Media, or the Centaku Nation. I guess that's what we're going to go for. So, the Centaku Nation, for those that are part of the Centaku Media community, that's people who enjoy not just anime, but the other things that matter. So, even if you are casual and you enjoy one or the other, then, you know, you are welcome into the community. And we do have a Discord, so if you are interested in joining our Discord, be sure to check it out. The link is in the show notes, but you can just head to centakumedia.com/Discord. And that will get you an invite to the Discord server. And actually, as of recording this, I am considering running a Discord exclusive event in the style of an anime panel. I'm going to figure out how to actually get it done, but I would like to get it done. So, excuse me. I might run an interest check at some point on Twitter, but I want to do a poll where I could share it to multiple social media accounts. And I hit up Straw Poll. For those that are familiar with the site, strawpoll.me, and I'm guessing the site hasn't been used in quite a while, so when I log in with my Twitch account, it says that there's an error message, apparently, but I could have sworn I logged in before with my Twitch account, but unless, I'll go back and see if maybe they just, like, deleted my account, even though I only had, like, one poll in it, which was kind of, you know, useless anyway. But yes, I want to basically give everyone an opportunity on multiple platforms to vote on whether they would like to see this. And actually, you know what? I might embed a poll here in the, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Anchor, I believe they have a feature where you can put a poll in it just to gauge interest from the audience. So I might do that initially, and I'll add to those numbers. So we'll figure it out. But yes, I hope you join our Discord. Also, don't forget our socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Centaku Media. Also, Twitch as well. And also YouTube Centaku Chan, which we have a video up. I know this is the same video I've been plugging, but I gotta keep plugging in case you haven't seen it yet. And it is how to use the Spectralizer plugin in OBS Studio. But I am working on a new tutorial for future use, so I hope that will benefit you as well. Also, I am actually contemplating again on a Let's Play series. I'm trying to figure out what's the right game, or rather a good balance between streaming on Twitch and the type of game for Let's Play. Like, I'm looking for a chill game that I can play around the clock outside of streams, but also to share with you all. And I know Minecraft is one of them, so might be Minecraft. I have streamed Minecraft on my channel before, but Minecraft is just one of those games that I think, you know, you'll have more fun playing off stream, and you want, you know, when you can't stream around the clock, you know, that'll be kind of game that you want to get out there. And I had an idea for Minecraft, you know, as far as the Let's Plays go, but we'll see. we'll see how that goes. So anyway, without further ado, I think that's all the community. Oh yeah, one more thing for the community announcement. So, I tend to go off unscripted with these announcements, but yes, one other announcement. I've already plugged a lot of the announcements in previous episodes, but the biggest one is that we finally have a proper newsletter. So, in the past, we've had WordPress take care of our email subscriptions. People want to get updated with anything happening with Centaku Media. They can either follow the blog on WordPress with their WordPress account, or they could just use their email address. But this email newsletter is going to cover everything that's happened on all social media accounts of our Centaku Media social media accounts. So, in case you can't keep up, we'll have it right there for you to digest or ingest, whatever the right word for it. Womp. But yeah, so we do have a proper newsletter. It's powered by Review, and I think if anyone remembers that service, they're owned by Twitter now. So if you, I think you'll be able to see it on our Twitter account. I don't know how that works, but we will link to that in the show notes if you want to read our first issue. And if you want to subscribe to future updates, then you can. Also, our release schedule is going to be like on a monthly basis. If we have any huge news, we'll be sure to update through that avenue as well. So if you are interested, be sure to hit up that link and subscribe and check out our first issue and then be up to date with upcoming issues as well. So that is it for our intro. So we're going to go ahead and get into the big anime gaming news that we have to talk about. And of course, we do have entertainment and interest news to talk about as well. So I will see you here in a little bit, but first, a word from our sponsors. Have you always wanted to start your own podcast but don't know where to start? Don't have the right equipment? Don't have a place to host your new podcast? If this is you, then you probably haven't heard of Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how Anchor works. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. To start things off with our anime news segment is a story that we were talking about last season, and it's a big story in the community. It's a good story, but I know a lot of people are skeptical about it. I guess depending on their background with the anime industry, I know different people have varying opinions when it comes to how the fandom, I guess the fandom culture is handled in the US, including myself, because I know some people, I might not agree with some people, people may not agree with me, but we're gonna get right into it before I explain what it is, because it was actually in a Twitter space I attended, just out of the blue, that talked about this, and it's actually the news of Crunchyroll and Funimation. So it was back in August of 2021. It was around August of 2021 where it was announced that Funimation and Crunchyroll were merging, and this was after the accusation of Crunchyroll from Sony, the PlayStation people, that Sony, the Walkman people. So with that said, with Sony acquiring Crunchyroll, people were, under the impression that how long will it take for everything to be unified? Because here's how it all started. So with Crunchyroll and Funimation basically being one now, that means a lot of Crunchyroll important services will be utilized to its fullest or discontinued or vice versa. So with that said, Funimation in particular, they're actually going to fold all of their library into the Crunchyroll library. So anything that was on Funimation streaming services will now be on Crunchyroll, with the exception of some series, especially I think if they're like ongoing series like One Piece. Of course, I guess that's the biggest one. But like I said, One Piece, I know that there's varying opinions about One Piece there, but With this news, they are merging the library, and with that said, so any subscriptions you have, you might want to consider consolidating them. So Wakanim, I don't know what they. I think it's like out. I think it has something to do with being outside of the U.S. I'm guessing it's like in Europe and UK. Wakanim, if that rings a bell. But yes, any people who had subscriptions under Funimation or Wakanim, they need to basically cancel their subscription and register an account on Crunchyroll. Or if you have both a Funimation or Crunchyroll subscription, it's a good idea to cancel your Funimation subscription, which I already did the next day after the announcement. So, not all of the content is on Crunchyroll yet from Funimation, but they said that by the end of March it will be complete. So the just to get from the announcement in the news story that was provided by Siliconera, I still don't know how you actually pronounce it. I think it's Siliconera, but the announcement offered details about how the merger will work. So, Crunchyroll will get about 80% of the Funimation/Wakanim shows by the end of March of 2022, and it will still offer the same 3 subscription plans. That means people can pay $7.99, $9.99, or $14.99 US dollars per month for various service tiers. Rather than being Funimation Global Group LLC, it will be Crunchyroll LLC. If someone is a Funimation or Wakanim subscriber, they will need to cancel the current subscription, make a Crunchyroll account, and purchase a new sub. Funimation and Wakanim will only continue to add and air existing series on their services and get new episodes from previously announced series. And Funimation members digital copies of items, gift cards, saved show queues, watch histories, they won't be available on Crunchyroll, but the announcement did confirm that digital copies, gift cards, queues, and watch history support is in the works for Crunchyroll. But also, this says that Crunchyroll's most basic $7.99 per month plan removes ads from shows, offers access to everything in the anime library with an option to stream on one device at a time, and also lets people read English digital manga, and allows people to watch new episodes of ongoing shows an hour after they air in Japan. So, pretty much the same deal as always. So basically, long story short is that what's the point of paying for Funimation and Crunchyroll? Just pay for Crunchyroll. So Crunchyroll is the way to go. So now, what I was trying to get at earlier when I kicked off this segment was that the Twitter space I attended is under Black Anime Podcast, and Black Anime Podcast are a directory of anime podcast and other, I guess, otaku culture podcasts that are housed by Black creators such as myself. So again, shout out to them for having us featured last year. Really appreciate it. But yes, I follow them on Twitter. You should too, at Black Anime Podcast. I have to get the exact handle, and I don't know if they even have the space archived. I know I'm new to the whole Twitter Spaces thing, and that's something I need to utilize for real as a podcaster, obviously. But in their space, they had the day of the announcement. Following the announcement, they some of the creators expressed their own opinion. So one person said that it seems that it's going to pave the way for more piracy. So, you know how there are like a bajillion streaming services out now, not just for anime, but just in general. Like you got Paramount Plus, you got HBO Max, you have, well, of course, you have Hulu and Netflix, and then you have AMC Plus, and then you have, I don't know, like I could keep going. It's just way too many of them. So at this rate, you might as well be paying for cable again. But for anime in particular, there's a stigma about the industry as a whole because, you know, back from, I guess, going back to the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s, like 2006, 2007 in particular, a lot of people were upset that Funimation was snapping up a lot of these licenses at neck break speed. I guess if that's how you say it. But like, no, like literally, I think one of the shows in particular was Death Note. I was really into Death Note at the time. It was actually during an interesting time in my life. I had relocated from one end of the country to the other. So Death Note was kind of my comfort, my go-to series for times like that. So Death Note in particular, it had started airing in Japan, but I think it wasn't until like maybe 3 episodes in after it started airing that Fizz Media announced that they were going to license a series, so of course that meant it was going to be harder to get fan subs, because a lot of the fan subbers, they had to comply with cease and desist orders, basically. And a lot of people took notice of this trend at the time that, as soon as an anime is announced, Funimation or Fizz at the time when they... Actually, come to think of it, I think Fizz is not really involved with anime distribution. I think they do like DVDs and stuff, but not like actually licensing stuff. That's usually Funimation nowadays. Or EDF, what's it? Sentai Filmworks. Which actually, they actually got... Sentai Filmworks actually got purchased by AMC. I think we covered that. Actually, shoot. Did I even cover that in one of our episodes? I totally forgot. Like, everything's a blur. But yes, High Dive is now owned by AMC, which is the AMC, not the movie theater group, but the American Movie Classics company that has Walking Dead. So they have High Dive now. So that's interesting. But we'll get to that another day. But yes, people took notice of this and they didn't like it, and they said, well, I'm not going to support it. I'm going to keep buying fan subs because I just can't afford it. And of course, these are coming from, at the time, high schoolers and people that just couldn't, for some reason, couldn't have employment yet, or couldn't be employable, or for whatever reason. And apparently that's still true in 2022. Like, people more aware of, the implications of piracy, but they just don't care. At the end of the day, they just want their anime. So these people are still repping these anime sites. I know the most recent demise was Kiss Anime, because people were like, that's our go-to, and I'm like, why are you plugging Kiss Anime when you can support support your shows legally? But yeah, so people basically saying that just basically can pave the way for more anime piracy. So people, I guess the biggest thing, the takeaway from the space is that, well, chances are Crunchyroll, like the prices I just mentioned, is $7.99 for the cheapest one. It used to be lower. I think it used to be $6 or $5, but now it's like $8. Just think about it. That price could go up a little bit. So probably like in the next year, it could go up. So like the $7.99 plan could be $9.99, and then $9.99 could be $14.99, and then $20. But of course, they have to justify reasons why they need to do that, so they could, keep up with the demands from the industry. And it's kind of like with Netflix. Netflix is actually going up, I believe, next month. I guess depending on if you're a current subscriber or not. But yeah, Netflix is pretty much going up every year at this point. And like I said, that kind of brings to the point. So these services are going to go up eventually, and people are not going to want to pay for it. And of course, you already got like more anime streaming services out there now. So, like I said, you got Hive Dive and Crunchyroll now. And Funimation, I guess it depends on how you want to use Funimation. But now we got like one less to deal with for some. But, but you still got, you're getting more value for the price you're paying now. So that's good. So, yeah, so we're varying opinions of how this is seen. And, some of it saying it's actually really good, and also people worried about there's a potential monopoly in the U.S. anime industry, and apparently, unfortunately, when it comes to U.S., I guess, capitalism, everyone is going to go after everything, and soon, when you try to seek out an alternative, it's just, like, no way of getting away from it, so... I don't know, yes, there's varying opinions about that. It's very interesting, and actually, as I'm speaking of this, I don't have this in my queue, but I might have to make some changes about some stories I need to talk about, because that just reminded me when I say about monopolies. That just reminded me of a certain streaming services, or rather platform, that we talk about quite a bit here on Centaku Media. So, I might get to that. It's probably going to be in the gaming section. Like I said, I'm going to have to make some sacrifices with some of the stories I'm going to talk about, because I try to keep it under 3. I'm already pushing 4, but I'll have to talk about it at another time. But yeah, so that's the news that we are talking about, that we just finished talking about. It's the Crunchyroll and Funimation merge. So, too long didn't read. Just cancel your Funimation subscription, get Crunchyroll, and all will be good. And speaking of which, don't forget to check out Shenmue, the animation. I totally recommend it if you are curious as to what the game is about, considering how old it is. But the game, I do recommend playing the game too, but I guess anime would be a good primer for those that are curious about the game as a whole. But for those that want to get a glimpse of what the first episode was all about, be sure to check out our Twitter account. But the easiest way you can get there is if you go to our Discord account. Again, centakumedia.com/discord. If you go to our anime channel, I did link the Twitter thread to the differences between the beginning of Shenmue the game and the first episode of Shenmue the animation. Or rather, I talk about, I guess the difference is the nuances of how the pacing is about. That's what I was trying to get at. So yes, be sure to check out Centaku Media on our Discord for more details. But anyway, moving on. So the series in question I was talking about that we had to say well, it's not an anime series, but it's an anime adaptation, and we talk about this quite a bit too on the podcast. And it's actually anime adaptation. I mean, the manga adaptation. It's in Shonen Jump. That's why. So Dr. Stone was back at the end of 2021, I believe. Last summer, I believe they hinted that the story was reaching its climax. And so with that said, that usually means that the show is about to come to an end, or the series rather is about to come to an end. So with that said, and as of recording this, as of, I guess, in the past 48 hours from recording this, that Dr. Stone has officially concluded. And it was in this year's 13th issue of Shueisha's Weekly Shonen Jump that Hoichi and Riichiro's and Nagaki's Dr. Stone manga will reach its climax in the next issue, which was on March 7th. So March 7th is when it officially ended. And as someone that's following the anime, I kind of prefer not to have spoilers, but yes, March 7th is when the issue shipped, and the chapter in the issue will have more than normal 26 pages, including a color page. And the manga is also celebrating its 5th anniversary in the 13th and 14th issues. See, it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but come on. So yes, it was in September that the manga entered its final arc. In September. I think that was when we went on hiatus, so that's why I'm like, But Boichi, who was he's the artist behind Sunken Rock, and Inagaki, who's author of Ice Shield 21, launched the manga in Weekly Shonen Jump in March 2017. And of course, you can read it digitally and in print through Viz Media in their app. And for those curious as to what Dr. Stone is about, one fateful day, all of humanity was petrified by a blinding flash of light. After several millennia, high schooler Taiju awakens and finds himself lost in a world of statues. However, he's not alone. His science-loving friend Senku's been up and running for a few months, and he's got a grand plan in mind to kickstart civilization with the power of science. And it's also worth noting that they've actually had to delay the manga a few times, so that way they can get everything right, accurately, because they actually do talk about science in this, and it's actually really fascinating, and that's a favorite thing about reading Dr. Stone, or rather watching Dr. Stone. But let's say this. Oh yeah, so there's 2 seasons of anime. So there's the Dr. Stone first season, but the second season is called Stone Wars, and it came out last January of 2021. Of course, you can watch it on Crunchyroll. Not Funimation as well. I mean, they do dub it, but Crunchyroll is where you can find both seasons to watch immediately. And the third season, there's actually going to be a third season, but we won't get it into 2023. And apparently there's going to be a anime television special called Ryusui that will premiere in the summer. And it says that it will be set after Dr. Stone's Stone Wars and center on the character Ryusui. So, that sounds like, that doesn't ring a bell, so I imagine it's going to be a spoiler, so I guess I'll have to read it. But since it's over, we don't have to rush. So, also, I did do a, of Dr. Stone. Channel Surfing. Channel Surfing is our series on centakumedia.com, where I talk about, not really a full review, but more of like a dabble in a report of what this show is about and why it stuck out to me to even write said article. So I will link it in the show notes, as well as the story as well. But I totally recommend Dr. Stone, and it's really sad to see it go. so now I gotta find another anime series to stand over. But yeah, Dr. Stone though, the anime is not over yet. I mean, we got now. I think there's plenty of time for the anime. Maybe that's why they waiting until 2023 so they can just basically finish it up without any delay. Kind of like with My Hero Academia, which is not coming back until the fall. I think that's actually kind of a long time considering how long ago the most recent season ended. But oh well. So anyway, our last story in the anime news section. This is actually going into our string of live action adaptations of anime and manga series. So I personally haven't finished watching this. I started watching it, but I haven't gone back to it yet because I have a horrible habit of doing that with a lot of things, including games and K-dramas. But this one concerns Full Metal Alchemist. So the official Twitter account for the live-action Full Metal Alchemist film announced that the series will get 2 new live-action films in May and June of 2022. The first film, Hagane no Rikenjutsushi, or Kankensuhin, Fukushua Scar, which means Full Metal Alchemist's final chapter of the Avenger Scar, opens on May 20th and follows Edward's fight with the character Scar. And the second film, Hagane no Rikenjutsushi, Kanketsuhin Saigo no Rinsei, or Full Metal Alchemist, the final chapter, The Last Transmutation, opens on June 24th, and depicts the story's final battle. The account streamed a trailer which features a release by Romy Park, who is the original Japanese voice actor for Edward Elric. And the films will feature a returning cast from the first live-action movie, which is Ryosuke Yamada, who plays Ed, and he's actually in Heisei Jump, and he also played Nagisa in Assassination Classroom. And also you got Otomo Mitsushi, who was Garo in Makai no Hana, and Prince of Tennis second season musicals. I think I read that right. I'm guessing he was in the musicals of Prince of Tennis, I believe. And he's playing Alphonse Ulrich, a voice and motion capture part of Alphonse. And you also got Tsubasa Honda, who played Futaba in live-action Blue Spring Ride, who's Winry, and Dean Fujioka, who is Roy Mustang, and he was previously in Happy Marriage, the live-action adaptation of that. And other new cast members include Kokoro Terada as Salem, Bradley, Long Ming Ro as Mei Chang, and Haruhi Ryoga as Izumi Curtis. And let's see, other returning cast members. They don't have I didn't get the link for it on here on my save file here, but the films though commemorate the 20th anniversary of the manga, which was originally penned by Hiromu Arakawa. And theaters in Japan teased the project with the vengeance-scar.jp website and a visual featuring a live-action Scar, which was pictured before the announcement. And people were like, huh. Because it wasn't, because, with the 20th anniversary, we've had like a series of announcements because there's a smartphone game on the way. And then some other stuff that happened. But yeah, I think the mobile game was pretty much the only thing they had of anything new of Fullmetal Alchemist, but I wonder if there will be like a spin-off. It has to be a spin-off of Fullmetal Alchemist, yo, because I do miss it, and it's actually one of my favorite shows. Actually, can you believe it's been 20 years, but no, like it wasn't until 2003 that I saw the anime, and speaking in 2022, I'm like, gosh, that was like 19 years ago, yo. So times change, times fly, yo. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's been quite a journey, but yes, I'm so glad to have experienced Fullmetal Alchemist, and it's not too late to experience it for yourself, so be sure to check it out when you can. I know there was I know before, of course, it was a big part of Funimation's library, but I don't know if they still have it, because I know there's some licensing thing with Aniplex, and I know Aniplex, they were trying to do something. I think they were trying to roll their own streaming service. Or I think they do have a streaming service, but there was something about Aniplex that made it to where, oh yeah, this is probably where it's going. So I don't know. But if you can find Fullmetal Alchemist through legal means, or even the manga, be sure to check it out. I totally recommend it, and it is quite the roller coaster. Like it was published in Shonen Gangan, which is under Square Enix. So just think about it. So if you enjoy like Final Fantasy 14 or just any Final Fantasy game, I'm sure that anything from Square Enix, it's definitely a thrill to enjoy. But speaking of Square Enix, we're actually going to go into our gaming news, where we're going to talk about a huge Square Enix news update regarding a certain game that I might have mentioned about 30 seconds ago. So let's get into it. Alright, so we are going to talk about a whole lot of news about a specific game of the online gaming nature, and is of the critically acclaimed MMORPG, where you can now once again play up until level 60 for free, including Heavensward and all that good stuff, which is Final Fantasy XIV. So Final Fantasy XIV recently had a huge update. Well, not a it was upcoming. We're coming up with a new update, which is going to be in mid-April. But this will contain my excitement. I'll start keep it calm. But from their most recent live letter from the producer, number 69, which is a nice number and a very nice presentation, we are going to expect 6.1, which is the first patch following the base expansion of Endwalker, and it is estimated release period is in mid-April. So we don't have as of recording this, we don't have an exact date yet. Of course, it's a matter of time before we get a trailer that highlights what's going to go down in 6.1. But also, it's important to note that well, if I talk about it, it won't go. If you don't look at it too hard, it's not gonna involve any spoilers. But the new title for the 6.1 patch for Endwalker is going to be called Newfound Adventure. So Newfound Adventure is going to take place after Defensive Endwalker, but again, we're not going to go into it. But we're going to talk a little bit about it in the upcoming episode, the special episode of the Centaku Media Journal, which is due out at the last Wednesday of March. And just to keep going with the story, and try not to spoil too much into it, there's a whole lot of updates that's expected with 6.1, but also we do have a roadmap of content to expect up to 6.5, and just for those that are unfamiliar with 14, or just as a refresher, a 6.5 is usually like the last patch, or anything 0.5 is the last patch before the next expansion, which will be 7.0, and looking at the release schedule for the previous expansions, it's like every 2 years. And I know the exception of Endwalker, it was delayed significantly due to the pandemic. So, and of course, we even got a delay by like a few weeks too. So that's something to think about. So we might get 7.0 sooner than expected, like maybe next summer. I don't know, but we'll see. So, but anyway, we're gonna go ahead and go down and talk about what's to expect in 6.1 as well as 6.2 to 6.5. So the main talking points for the first big patch for Endwalker, which is of course a new main scenario quest or main story quest, which explains what the heck is going on so far, or rather, our story so far, as they would say. The next one will introduce more Beast Tribe quests. And also there's going to be a new PvP mode called the Crystalline Conflict. And there's going to be an ultimate challenge called the Dragon Song Surprise. And we also have an Unreal dungeon called Ultima's Bane. And we also have additional job adjustments in a way, which will be in another from Producer Live. And also we will get a new Alliance Raid, which is a 24-person long. Well, it houses 24 people, of course. If you're familiar with WoW, it's almost, I guess you will consider it a high scale raid, I guess. Large scale, that is. It's in that in that regard. But anyway, it's called Myths of the Realm, and the thing about Myths of the Realm in the last couple of expansions, there have been some kind of tie-in with another Square Enix property, like Stormblood. We had Final Fantasy XII storyline, I guess fan service for those that really enjoy Final Fantasy XII, and also Shadowbringers, which was mostly focused on They had a raid that was homage to Final Fantasy VIII, and also you had the Nier raid series, which is of course a collaboration with the people who were involved with Nier Automata. So actually, we talked about Nier Automata in the last episode, so there's going to be an anime series on the way as well. But we'll talk about Nier another day, or you can just go back to listen to that. Anyway, so yeah, Myths of the Realm is going to be an original raid series that's based in the 14 universe. So this will be a lot of fun to check out. And also, for those that have been playing 14 since the very beginning, like 1.0, there is going to be a new series of quests that involves the character Hildebrand. And Hildebrand is one of those like comic relief characters that, if I remember correctly, in 1.0, he was kind of like one of the last quests they had in the game before they shut it down, before they relaunched it. And apparently he was credited for stopping the offense that went down, but of course we kind of, know otherwise. But we'll talk about that later. Actually, I might do like a Let's Play series on that, because I need to finish it myself. I only finished like the first half of it, but I haven't gotten to the second series of quests involving Hildebrand, so we'll see. But for Hildebrand, he's coming back in 6.15, 6.15, so it's kind of a midway patch after 6.1. And also, we'll have a side quest chain with Tataru involved, and also we'll have the introduction of Ishgardian housing for those that want more opportunities at getting their own house in 14. And I know that's kind of a grind for a lot of people that want to have a place to call their own in the game. So, also the one thing to note, I actually hope that this is still the case. So, for those that have houses, they pause auto demolition because of the server congestion, but they were originally going to put it back into effect on March 9th, but they delayed it again due to the world situation. So that's actually good. A good looking out on Square's part for that. So, and also with myself included, I do have a house in the game myself, and I haven't been in a mood to play because I'm taking a break until 6.1. So yeah, thank you Square for looking out, and thank you Yoshi P for looking out. Also, yeah, there's a lot to as the article says, there's a lot to unpack here. Definitely. But if that wasn't enough, we're gonna talk about 6.2, and also go into the article that shows the roadmap for 6.1, and also mentioned a new calling card style user interface. And from what I understand, it's basically like you have your own profile, kind of like if you play a Pokemon game, you know how they have the trainer cards. I think it's something like that you can customize it. I guess you can post with your character, something like that. I think that's how it's going to work, but we'll find out more, I guess, later on. And apparently the Hofgars are getting more new hairstyles as well. So, and also there's a custom delivery that involves a specific character I'm not going to say because it's actually a spoiler. So, I don't know if this character is involved with the Totaro quest, but the character they mentioned specifically, I'm not even going to repeat it because, again, it's a spoiler. So, that's for you to find out come Endwalker. So, anyway, so continue the roadmap set for 6.2. They're going to make some changes to the trust system. So, they're going to actually implement it pretty much throughout the whole game now, because the trust system was introduced in Shadowbringers, but now from what we understand is that eventually Final Fantasy XIV will be single player friendly. I mean, it is now, but it seems like you'll have to go through the game without having to rely on other people. So that's actually very interesting and actually kind of a win for me, because I don't mind playing MMOs, but of course it's not fun when you come up to a person that thinks they know all. And I know mentors in the game particularly are kind of, looked down on, because there's some mentors that actually need the attention, but there's some that basically just get the mentor status just for attention, apparently. So I think that's kind of like low key, kind of where they're like moving away from. So we'll make the game single player friendly so more people can enjoy without having to deal with other people. So yeah, so apparently the trust system compatibility is going to start from the patch 2 series, main scenario dungeons. including Heaven Sword as well. I think for 2 to 3 Heaven Sword main scenario dungeons, 2-3. I guess I meant from 2 to 3 of them. I don't know, but anyway, apparently it's going to be new weapons enhancements and a new criterion. Variable variable difficulty dungeon, which is from 1 to 2 players. I'm guessing it's like a new let's see, kind of like the Palace of the Dead and a Heaven on High kind of dungeon. I think that's what they mean. So a lot of people are actually excited about that. So we'll see about it. And also 6.2 introduces the Island Sanctuary, and apparently Pandemonium, Fall Hollow, and other trials will get updates as well. And 6.3 will have the Trust expansion to the remaining Heavensward dungeons. Oh yeah, the Deep Dungeon. Okay, so this is a Deep Dungeon. So I don't know what the criteria is. I have to like look at it. Oh yeah, I guess okay. So Criterion will feature will be based on difficulties depending on how many players are participating. But 6.3 will add another Deep Dungeon, which is the third one in the game, and we'll have a 5th Ultimate Duty, an Island Sanctuary update, and other trial updates to Myths of the Realm and Full Hollows. And while 6.4 and 6.5 are in development, Yoshi P said that they might add more to this from what they initially announced of the roadmap. So 6.4 and 5 will show adding trust and compatibility to all Stormblood dungeons, and there'll be second and third edition to the Criterion dungeons, and a new Island Sanctuary area, and the conclusion of Pandemonium and more trial updates with Myths of the Realm. Oh, so that is it for right now of Final Fantasy XIV, and it's so exciting, getting to play the game again. And I heard some details. I don't know if this is still gonna stick, but there are a couple of characters. One of them, my favorite character in particular, saying it's gonna be focused on this character, and I'm kind of like scared, like excited and scared at the same time, because there was a moment in Walker where I was like, Are we ever going to see this person again? But I'm not going to spoil it. Like I said, I try not to spoil it, but I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk more about 14 in the special episode due out this month. But if you want to talk more about Final Fantasy 14, I will consider putting a channel for it in our Discord. I don't have a Discord channel yet. I don't have a channel for 14 in a Discord just yet, but I am in the process of adding reaction roles, so that way if you are a 14 player, you can talk about 14. But with that said, maybe you should join so you can get some more peeps in the server and make it grow. So, just saying, shameless self-plug there. Anyway, that is it for 14 news, 14 related news. But next news is going to be also kind of a big story here, and this is going to involve Pokemon. Those familiar with Pokemon will know that February 27th or so, depending on what part of the world you live in, is known as Pokemon Day, and 2022 marks the 26th anniversary of the franchise, and with that brings news of exciting developments in the Pokemon franchise. So we're going to start off with some cool news, but even cooler news at the end, big news for those that are big fans of the show. So, or games, depending on how you see it. But there's actually news for both fans of either the game or the anime. So, the first is the upcoming update for Pokemon Go. If you still play it, they're going to bring out some more Pokemon to the game, and those are going to be based on the Pokemon from Sun and Moon, which are from the Alolan region. And this was apparently added on March 1st, so if you are out of the loop, which is kind of what my show is about, like going reporting stories that you might not know about because you're so up to date with everything but one thing. It is currently available on March 1st. And of course, there will be a few Pokemon to begin with, but later on in the future, they'll add pretty much the whole Pokedex from the Alolan region. And apparently there's still a few not added from the previous regions. Like, apparently Kecleon is not, from the Holian region, is not in the game, and mythical Pokemon like Shaman and Manaphy from Sinnoh are not in the game yet. So, interesting. So, yeah. Of course, there'll be a few at for now, but we'll see some more in the future. And now, for those that play Pokemon Legends Rcs, which I have yet to play, but I really don't want to add more to my backlog. As full as it is, but that's a game I do plan on playing in the future. Unfortunately, not right now. But Pokemon Legends Arceus is getting, I think they've gotten it, excuse me, already, and it's called a Daybreak update. And it says that it's a version update to 1.10, 1.1.0 rather, and it's already out as of the Pokemon Day stream, and players also received 90 free Pokeballs, 30 of each of Ultra Balls, Gigaton Balls, and Jet Balls, using the Arceus Adventure, all in caps, one word, mystery code, and you have until the 31st to use it. So, the new content, they're saying that it said the content will focus on investigating mass outbreaks, and the clip that is on, I think it was on, hold on, well, I think it's also in a stream too, but this is from an article from Polygon. It said that the video clip showed mass outbreaks of the Hisuian, Growlithe, and Zoroark. And according to the news release, update will also include more chances for players to battle the legendary Pokemon and Wardens. Excuse me. Last update concerning Pokemon Arceus is apparently there's going to be an online anime series. So I guess in the same style, not in the same style per se, but like in the same tradition that's been developed during the Sword and Shield era. It's going to be an online exclusive series, and it's expected to be released sometime in 2022. And it said that the Pokemon Company teased the series with a piece of artwork with a trainer walking through a snowy forest while they look back at the shadow of a Hisuian Zorua looming over them. And the Hisui region, like many regions, some have special variant of popular Pokemon, including the Hisuian Sora. And I think, yeah, that's all we got so far. But yes, it'll be something similar to Twilight Wings and also Pokemon Revolutions, which was the recent one. Pokemon Evolutions basically went back to all the regions that we've seen in the Pokemon franchise in the 25-year history. And of course, Twilight Wings, we actually talked about Twilight Wings because of Pokemon Gen 8 in particular, I was so excited about. Because that was my first Pokemon game I got really into in a long time since 4th gen, since the Diamond and Pearl era. So, or actually since the 3rd era. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yes. So Twilight Wings, I talked about it. If you want to read more about it, be sure to check out the show notes or check out centakumedia.com, where we have it highlighted on the sidebar as our channel surfing series. So, the last story, the big story here, concerning Pokemon for the franchise as a whole, is that even though it's been, how long since 2019 when Sword and Shield came out, we are actually getting a new generation of Pokemon, and that is Gen 9. And when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, we doing Gen 9 already? So they're pretty much owning like a Final Fantasy game, even though it's been 25 years, and Final Fantasy has been around for what, 35? Actually, you gotta wonder if Pokemon will surpass Final Fantasy in number of games before it hits their own 35 mark. But I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, so Pokemon Gen 9 is called Scarlet and Violet. So I wonder what other people had in mind previously for what Gen 9 names would have been. So, yeah, Scarlet and Violet, of course. And numbers again. So they're going back to numbers where Sword and Shield was a little different. And they, of course, there's a video. I think the video kind of speaks for itself. But the Polygon article describes it as I guess the game itself looks lovely with a mix of lively city areas and idyllic pastures with tons of Pokemon. And of course, we do have 3 starters. So we got a grass-type kitten, a fire-type small alligator, as they describe it, and a water-type duck with a fun hat. And apparently it's going to be open world, almost similar to Arceus. Or maybe they're going to do something slightly different from Arceus, but we'll see. But apparently they're like emphasizing this will be open world. So kind of like Breath of the Wild, maybe Arceus, maybe a little better than both. I don't know, it's Nintendo, so we'll see. But if you were curious as to what these starters Pokemon names are, so we got Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley. So the grass cat Pokemon is Sprigatito, a capricious, I hope I pronounced this right, capricious, attention-seeking grass cat Pokemon. Fuecoco, a laid-back fire croc Pokemon that does things at its own pace. And Quaxley, with the Q's, Quaxly, an earnest and tidy duckling Pokemon. And of course, I'm already in love with the grass Pokemon, the grass cat Pokemon, so I'm really looking forward to it. And Fuecoco, it's also cute. And we got Quaxley, but I'm really curious as to what the evolutions are going to be. I bet it's going to be epic. Kind of like with, how, my favorite starter Pokemon in, Gen 8 is, the bunny one. I know the evolution is, Scorbunny. Oh, Scorbunny, yeah, the Scorbunny. So, you know the evolution of it. I, totally forgot the name. I'm sorry, Scorbunny's evolution. Scorbunny, Red Boot, and, the other one. So, you know who I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I totally forgot the name. But I will make it up to, Cinder, I named it Cinderace. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I remember this, but I nicknamed it Cinder in Sword and Shield. So, yeah, I'm really curious as to what the evolutions will be. So, of course, as with everything huge like this, we will talk about more of it when we get more information of it. And also, shoot, I actually forgot. Almost forgot. Apparently, no, I think that's it. Okay. For some reason, I thought there was another anime series besides what I talked about, but there isn't. So, alright, I think that's all we talk about for Pokemon and Final Fantasy XIV, but we do have one more news here, but this one's interesting and I couldn't ignore it. So, it's about Twitch. And apparently, I missed the original article for this, but the original, one of the original founders of Twitch, DJ Wheat, he is no longer a part of Twitch. He's been not part of the company since, actually, no, he left this past January 2022. And he's been with the platform for a decade. And he went to talk about, he was interviewed, and he was talking about how, things on Twitch have taken a change to where it's not even fun anymore. And it's kind of, I've been talking about this, everyone's been talking about it, but I've been talking about it on my podcast. It seems that Twitch is more concerned about their top streamers than the little guy. And I think this is kind of reflective of what he's saying as one of the original founders of Twitch, one of the original, employees of Twitch. But DJ Wheat, his real name is Marcus Graham, and he's a former head of creator development. He said that the company has a huge empathy problem towards creators and saw him as a rebel, quote-unquote rebel, for prioritizing them. So he's also a former shoutcaster. DJ Wheat was one of the longest tenured workers at Twitch until his departure in January 2022, as he worked there for an entire decade. And after Wheat exited the company, he voiced concerns with the direction of the site, as the Amazon-owned streaming platform reportedly lost tons of staff over the last year and filled them with workers from outside of the streaming community. Which kind of makes sense, I guess. In a kind of iffy way, questionable way, rather. But anyway, so now he's spoken directly about how he's felt about his time at the company and how he was perceived. And he was live on March 4th when he went over the original reporting from Bloomberg, which shed light on the exodus of employees that the company had seen in 2021. A Twitch spokesperson shared a statement that read, "The common thread for all employees is a drive to serve our community." We pushed back on this claim. "I was seen as rebel for my drive to serve the community. I don't understand how this can't even be said when I myself felt attacked being that person at Twitch. He continued, I spent my last 4 months at Twitch fighting for empathy training for employees. Do you think I'd do that if there was a large connection with creators within the company? Do you think I'd waste my time doing that if there wasn't an empathy problem in Twitch? It is a effing huge problem. Clip this! So he also detailed Twitch's problems even further. People don't understand creators. They don't understand what they need. They don't understand the struggles that they deal with, he said. And the former executive, finished by saying that the platform has a problem not just understanding the needs of the big streamers, which, too many to go over, and probably not worth giving them the time since they already have the time. If that makes sense. Trying not to be mean about it, but they also have small creators who are just starting to build their channels. Like, seriously. Yes, thank you. The person that actually needs to be said, and of course, I do have some I probably won't go into too much into it since I'm at I don't know if there's any stipulation of whether you had to. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the case. You have to be on your best behavior as a Twitch affiliate. But of course, it's kind of public knowledge at this point that Twitch has a loyalty problem, rather. Loyalty problem. So they, like I said, it seemed like to focus on their big name streamers and the little guy. But I'm hoping that, a lot of everything going on, like the hate race that's gone on the past year, and this seemed to be like not giving marginalized creators the time of the day. Hoping that this will be like, people start to notice, and then it will actually start like legit start hurting Twitch. And I know they're like coming up with like better solutions now. Like they have addressed the hate rate solutions, but apparently it's still like happening, but not as much as it was before. It seemed like they apparently get around it somehow, but I'll have to find out more about that. Because apparently, as of recording this on their Twitch support account on Twitter, they said that apparently there's a what they call bad actors rating channels based on LGBTQ plus and women streamers that have their streams tagged as such. Before we head on to our next segment, which is the entertainment and interest news, I will point you all in the direction of a special episode of a podcast from a series that we do on the side called the Akari Strain, where it's reserved for rants about a specific fandom or interest. But one of the debut episodes, we talked about Twitch and how irritating it can be sometimes, especially as a small streamer, to get the attention we all need. And of course, this was recorded like half a year ago, way before I became Twitch affiliate, in which, spoiler alert, we're Twitch affiliate now as of February 3rd, 2022. So definitely something I need to get off my chest, and something that's helped me, talking about it also helped me explore a little further as to what I can do differently as to everything that I've said in the episode. So I hope you get that episode. Listen, the link will be in the show notes on centakumedia.com if you want to hear it. And with that said, we are now going to go into the entertainment and interest news. Our episode is coming to an end as we stop at the entertainment and interest news station. And for our first story for our segment, this one I've been debating on whether to talk about, and normally I try not to include anything political unless it's really interesting or really important. So this one is both important and interesting. Like, it's important in another way of like, see, these are the circumstances of these actions, but also kind of a happy end to a story. I guess depending on how you see it, not really happy, just considering like finally someone has the sense to actually go through this and not, just be selfish about it for the rest of their life. And so the topic is going to be about anti-mask and anti-vaxxers. However, this one in particular is a cosplayer who is anti-mask and anti-vaccine. And it was back in February, I believe. It was reported by Kotaku about a cosplayer who's participating in anti-mask and anti-vax protest. And it's interesting because compared to other countries in the world, I'm not going to mention any names, Japan, and I think just parts of Asia in general, like, Japan and Korea, I know, and, China, they're basically, up on it when it comes to, COVID, well, by wearing masks and, vaccines, but Japan in particular, this one's interesting. So the cosplayer, he's the most visible demonstrator in Japan, and apparently his name is Rengoku Katsuaki. And ironically, he's dressed as the character Rengoku Kyojuro from Demon Slayer. So I don't know if that Rengoku was actually his name or what. It's just kind of coincidence, I guess. But as that character, just picture that character. He stood out with his spiky mask, flowing cape, and his protest signs. So the cosplayer Rengoku Katsuaki led anti-mask demonstrations in crowded Tokyo neighborhoods, including one of Tokyo's busiest train line. And of course, before the pandemic, mask wearing was normal for like other reasons, like if they have a cold, they just don't want to spread it to anyone, or if they have seasonal allergies. And of course, now it's more important. Now masks are easily accessible. At the time, when we were having mask shortages, but now it's like we pretty much had a steady supply now, thanks to a lot of donations and all that stuff from other countries. But of course, that's normal in Japan and most Asian countries. But if this happens in any of those countries, especially Japan, it's like, what? So the cosplayer stuck into Japan's biggest comic conventions, Comic Kit, which was held for the first time in about 2 years, back in December, I believe, and had a smaller turnout, but they wanted everyone to not run like they normally do, because apparently during Comic Kit, I don't know if I shared it in a previous episode, but it was interesting. So for Comic Kit, before the pandemic, it was normal to get off the train stop that stops at the venue the Comic Kit takes place, and what they'll do, as soon as they get off the train, they'll start making a running start, and they'll have their train passes ready to get through the turnstiles and then make it way to the venue. So yeah, it was wild. Like people jumping over, trying to attempt to jump over turnstiles, but they do that, they get in trouble. But this time around, they got off the train, took their time, and didn't even shout or run. So that's totally a different scenario from what people normally used to. But that's probably going to be the same for a while. And also, if I remember correctly, I think someone, a staffer of Comic Kit, did test positive for COVID. So people were worried it was going to be a super spreader event, but apparently it was just only a few people. So thankfully, it didn't, it didn't turn out to be much worse. And of course, they are vaccine. It's a vaccine mandated event. So you have to be vaccinated or have a test, I believe, before you can enter the event. So thankfully, it wasn't as bad. So, moving forward, so he was at Comic Kit, this anti-mask cosplayer, and of course he was kicked out. And there's a YouTuber, I think y'all know him. He goes by Joey. I think Joey. I'm trying to say he has a nickname too. I want to say I think he's on that Trash Taste podcast, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of several other anime YouTubers that are on the podcast, but he covered Rengoku Katsuaki's bullshit, and he was picked up by police after tweeting out his plans for a anti-vax riot. In mid-February of 2022, just as Tokyo was going through its biggest COVID-19 wave to date, Rengoku called for a no-mask protest at a rescue cat cafe in Shinjuku. Why? The cafe manager for the cafe became livid and tweeting that doing so was forcible obstruction of a business, and of course, that means jail time, which I think that's kind of seen in pretty much every country, because it's rude. The manager ended up getting Katsuaki's address and going to his apartment, where he left one note on the door that told him not to come to the cat cafe, and the other note told him not to disturb other people. The manager live tweeted the whole thing in a series of now deleted tweets. Perhaps at first intimidation worked, or the cosplayer finally listened to reason, but Katsuaki apologized and announced on his Twitter that he had a change of heart. "Everyone, let's stop protesting masks," he wrote. Let's stop causing trouble for others. And interestingly, the cat cafe manager and Kazuaki, a cat owner himself, seem to be buddies now. Soon after, the now masked cosplayer then appeared in Tokyo wearing full Demon Slayer gear and carrying a sign that tells others to mask up likewise. But, as you expect with these kind of stories, especially in the age of COVID, he apparently started running a fever, and he tested positive. And he says it's no different from the flu, he said in a video tweet. Oh, no, it's different from the flu. No, that's what I was going to say. I had to reread that. I said, no, it's different from the flu as someone that's had it, unfortunately. It's really rough. He compared his previous no-mask activities to bioterrorism. See? And over the weekend, Rengoku Kazuaki live-tweeted his experience with COVID-19, including when a doctor stopped by to check up on him. I was taking part in anti-mask and anti-vax activities, he told the physician, adding that he has yet to be vaccinated. I met someone who made me change my ways, and he thinks he got COVID in a recent protest he went to and told the doctor he will be wearing a mask from henceforth. While Rengoku has changed his mind about masks, he's even thinking about getting the vaccine. So I know that we've been in this pandemic for the past 2 years, and the fact that it's going on this long is really, unfortunate, because I think most of it could have been prevented if people weren't so divisive about having to wear a mask or getting the vaccine. And it also is unfortunate that it takes people to actually getting it and having a near-death experience with it for them to change their minds, and we shouldn't have to go through that. But for his case, and it seemed like with the way things are now, it's like the virus itself is getting weaker, but of course, people who are not vaccinated, they do pose a significant risk, especially if they're immunocompromised. So, yeah, thankfully, it didn't come to that, having him, on in a hospital, undergoing something worse. So, good for him to actually educate himself and actually consider getting a vaccine. So, I want to leave it at that, because this whole thing has been exhausting about the whole anti-mask and anti-vax thing. But people, it's one thing when you complain about something that's going to save lives, when you protest against something that's going to save lives, but also another when, considering you have the numbers in front of you and that person is probably not with you anymore that succumbed to it. It's just really frustrating. So like I said, I didn't want to go into this, but again, it was interesting, and I wanted to at least give you just a few of how things are there if you weren't curious about them before. So thank you, Rengoku, which the same character as Rengoku and Demon Slayer, for actually attempting to educate people now that it is important to get masked up and vaccinated. And in some countries, we're actually trending downward now, thankfully, so let's hope it stays that way. And I know there's a threat of another variant called a Deltacron, but I really hope that it dies off before it takes off again, because right now a lot of, where I live, they basically, well, unfortunately, with the attitude, a lot of people here, they didn't really have a mask mandate until last year, which ended last year, but they never really reinstated it because they just have a poor attitude of how they see the whole thing. So, but thankfully, with the vaccine and people getting boosted, it's tapering off now. So let's hope it stays that way for a while. But anyway, we'll move on to the next story. This one's also going to be kind of weird. It is political related, but it's relating to South Korea. And for those that are not familiar with Korean, just pop culture in general, they recently had an election, which was on March 9th, and I forgot his full name, but his last name is Yoon. He is elected president of South Korea. Apparently there was a lot of mixed reaction to him, because apparently he's one of those candidates that are under the conservative role. And just reading it up on the Korea subreddit, it's just, it's very interesting, because apparently a lot of his supporters are the people that you don't want to reflect on the country's values, if you know what I mean. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But this one in particular Thankfully, he didn't get he got the nomination, but thankfully he didn't. I think he was nowhere near where he needed to be to win the election. And this one, I will warn you that it's actually as a content warning, it is about a cult. So if you want to listen to that, go right along. But we are almost done with our episode, so thank you for listening. If you don't want to listen to this for whatever reason, and I hope to see you in the next episode. And don't forget to follow our socials. But I will go ahead and talk about it. It's actually kind of long, and it's on Korea Boost website. So if you want to read more of it, I will link it in the show notes as a source. But we're gonna read a little of it. So the title of the story that is on Korea Boost site is called "The South Korean Presidential Candidate Has Been Leading a Whole Cult from His Home and Exploiting His Followers." So apparently, Hong Kyung-young of the National Revolutionary Party made his political debut in 1987 when he ran for the 13th presidential election, but he actually rose to fame between 2007 and 2009. He lost the 17th presidential election in 2007, but he gained attention from his quirky campaign, in addition to his most outrageous claim of being conditionally engaged to the former president Park Geun-hye, as quoted by the Korea Times. Ho Kyung-young also insisted that he levitates, communicates with extraterrestrial beings, heals illnesses with his gaze. You should see the picture of him, by the way. It's just interesting. And boasts an IQ over 400. And, yeah, apparently there's pictures of him, quote-unquote, levitating in this, article, too, which is basically him standing on, having his leg up in the air like he's in, mid-kick. That's what it looks like, his levitation trick. But from 2008 to 2018, the candidate was banned from running in elections, and in addition to the year and a half of prison time of being found guilty for the dissemination of false information about Park Geun-hye and other public figures. Regardless, he remained an intriguing political figure for Koreans, especially with the most unexpected release of his singer debut track, Call Me, in 2009. And part of the lyrics they got translated here says, "Look into my eyes, it will make you happy. Look into my eyes, it will make you healthy. Say my name, it will make you laugh. Say my name, it will make you pass any test. Sing my song, it will make you lose weight. Sing my song, it will make you grow tall. Say my name, it will make you more beautiful. Say my name, it will make you more handsome. Just call out my name 3 times a day, every morning, afternoon, and evening. It will naturally bring a smile to your face. Don't hesitate, do it right now." No, I'll think I'll pass on that. Let's see, what else does it say here? Oh yeah, this intrigue, however, turned to disgust when in 2021, SBS's program Unanswered Questions unveiled Ho Kyung-young's secret, the candidate's financially and sexually exploitive cult led right out of his home called Heaven's Palace, or Hanogong. The cult referred to him as the God Man. According to an ex-follower, Ho Kyung-young's now full-blown cult wasn't religious at all in the beginning. I mean, back in 2016, the candidate started off with sharing tea time-like interactions, or quote-unquote lectures, as his followers referred to them, with his followers at his home. While the candidate did speak of his alleged supernatural insight at these lectures, he didn't charge a fee. In fact, the ex-follower commented, "The visiting followers willingly made donations to support the small group gatherings." So apparently, I think from this some gifts from the program, there shows everyone showing up to his home, and I think it's reflected from his growth from 2016 up until 2021, which was like a handful of people, but now it's like ridiculously huge from what I can see in the picture. When he saw a rapid increase in demand from his followers, however, the candidate sought out a bigger space to hold his lectures, the Heaven Palace. However, right around the time he moved into his establishment, he started referring to himself as the God Man. The size of his followers exploded, the lectures became exponentially more frequent, and ultimately the candidates actively sought ways to profit off the whole operation. And he also has hold on. I'm gonna, like I said, this article is long, so I'm gonna try to end it right here. He has what they call his 10 features of divinity, or his powers as a god man. So one is reciting Hyokkyong 10 times in a row increases one's energy to the level of 100 mu, or mu, that is infinity. 2, his energy transcends time and space. 3, he blesses the earth, the moon, and humans. 4, he gives off holy spirits or angels to humans. 5, he either expands or shortens the human lifespan. 6, he, in forms of incarnation, visits humans in a dream, somnolence, or through hieropathy, just like his actual presence. Number 7, he gives prophecies for future events. 8, he heals the physical and mental illnesses of the people. 9, he radiates aura around his body. And 10, he demonstrates 12 supernatural forms of energy. Yeah, so definitely a money grab operation right there since, well, I mean, he's been doing this for a while, apparently, obviously for a little more than 2 decades. But it wasn't until like several years ago he started saying, yeah, let me make this into a business, a quote-unquote business. Like, pretty much like any other cult that we've seen over the years. But but there's more to the story. Like, it's really long, and I'm kind of wanting to cut it short since we're a little over an hour in the episode. But the article will be in the show notes if you want to read the rest for yourself past this Godman powers in this article. So yes, that is Ho Kyung-yong, who was the presidential candidate in the election, but of course, like I said, don't worry about it, he did not win. So but yeah, South Korean politics is very interesting to me, and it's actually similar to US politics, because you got your conservative party, you got your liberal party, pretty much like Republican and Democrats. I don't know if that was like, I think, just the modernization of Korea in general is very fascinating, because I think it feels like to me that a lot of it is inspired by, US, a lot of the US influence, I guess, because, US Army, I guess, had a significant impact when they, were allies in the war. I'm pretty sure I probably got this, a lot of this is inaccurate that I'm saying, but it's just very fascinating. This actually, of course, inspires me to seek out more info about, how things became the way they were, because, about 30 years ago, actually, well, maybe 35 years ago, close to 40 years ago, that, Korea was basically still, a developing country. And, if you read up the history of Gangnam, it was originally a farm town. There was no big buildings like you see now. And, Gangnam, thanks to Gangnam Style, which is actually turning 10 years old this year in July. And I feel so old, y'all. Gangnam, is known for rich people. It's a rich people hangout, kind of like Buckhead in Atlanta, or probably any other big major city. But yeah, Buckhead in particular, since I'm close to it, that's like the first thing that comes off the top of my head. So yeah, Gangnam is pretty much like a rich people's paradise. But I've been to Gangnam, part of it, when we went to Korea. And yeah, it's definitely, let's have this Buckhead vibe to me in a very Korean way. So it's very fascinating experience for that. Yeah, but going back to politics in particular, it's very similar. And also, like what I said earlier about that one candidate, it's the fact that his supporters are very questionable. They have questionable opinions about things. I'm not going to go into detail, as I need to find more information, and I'm cautious on whether to talk about it. But, it's just very similar to what we're experiencing here. But I think here is actually worse. And if anything, I probably would trade it for the politics that's going on there than compared to here in the US. Because we are using misinterpreted misinterpreted chant for someone that's basically swearing off the president for something they're actually doing, and they don't even have like a record to themselves. But again, we're not going to go into that. But again, if you want to read more of that article, be sure to check it out. So last article, we're going to end on an exciting note to make up for the interesting and weird stories that I've just brought to you all. So concerts are slowly coming back for real this time. So starting in 2020, we had, back-to-back concerts, but that all came to an end when the pandemic started. So the biggest one was BTS, because I actually had tickets to go see BTS. in 2020, but they got canceled and we didn't get our refunds until last year, 2021. And it wasn't until late last year that BTS actually held their Permission to Dance concert in LA, and so far that's been like the only few concerts they've had outside of Korea in the US since the pandemic began. And I think they're going to have one in Las Vegas soon. So, that doesn't do me any good because I don't plan on traveling that far over to the other side of the country just yet. Like, Anime Expo is my next goal, but it won't be until next year. So, and then Flow, who's a Japanese J-rock group, they originally had opportunity to see him at Otakon in 2017, but due to schedule conflicts, I couldn't see him. Had an opportunity to see him in 2020, but they canceled it. Got postponed in 2021 as well, but not sure when they're coming back. But now, as of this year, I think we're starting to see more and more concerts. And Epic High, I don't think I mentioned this. No, I haven't. So Epic High, I know it's a little too late, but they recently kicked off their North American tour, and one of the stops is actually in Atlanta, which is on March 27th, which is on a Sunday. So I don't know if they still have tickets available, but I do have tickets, and I had to remind myself I do have tickets. So really excited to see them again. This will be my third time seeing them. First time I believe was in 2017. Yes, I think it was 2017 I saw them. And then I saw them again in 2019 as well, but I think that second time I actually got VIP tickets, but I'm not sure how this is going to go, so I just went and got regular general admission tickets, so I'm really looking forward to it. And the one I'm about to talk about, though, is Stray Kids, so they are going to have a world tour, Maniac, and they haven't announced a whole lot of cities right now, but starting with Seoul on April 30th, they're going to go into Kobe on June 11th. They're going to hit Tokyo June 18th. Newark, New Jersey, June 29th. Chicago, July 1st. Atlanta, July 3rd. Fort Worth, Texas, July 7th. July 6th. Los Angeles, July 9th. Oakland, July 12th. Seattle, July 14th. And again, going back to Tokyo on July 26th. And there's more cities that have yet to be announced as of posting this. So, if you're interested in going to see Stray Kids, this is your chance, and be sure to check out their social media accounts. This is keep abreast of the information. But Stray Kids, they're under JYP Entertainment for those that don't know, and they're basically like the brother group of GOT7, but GOT7 is not a group anymore, so we are said that they're not a group anymore, but there's a rumor that GOT7 is supposed to be making a comeback at some point, even though they made a big, like, a farewell thing, like, yeah, we're not going to be a group anymore, we're going to go separate ways and release solo content. So, Jackson, of course, he's already an established solo artist after being in a group long enough, and then we have Bam Bam and Mark doing their own thing, and yeah, so, but we'll see about GOT7. Let's see if they're actually going to make a comeback. But I don't know. I think it's just trolling from one of the members at this point. But it's very interesting and cute. But we'll see. But Stray Kids, if you want to see them, be sure to check them out. And if I have any more concert news, I'll start probably covering them more often. And I actually want to add some more content to the podcast, and also for the Discord server as well, just so you can also have content at the ready if you want to explore more about the crazy world of anime, gaming, and more. So, speaking of Discord, be sure to hit up our Discord at centakumedia.com/Discord. And with that said, we are going to bring this episode to an end. Thank you for listening. And if you want to hear more episodes, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media platform, which is Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Centaku Media. And also we're on Twitch and on TikTok at Centaku Media. Be sure to check out our featured game play of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which are on Thursday and Friday nights. Be sure to check out the schedule in our Discord for the current month, which is March. And also, be sure to follow the podcast on your favorite social media, not social media, but favorite podcast platform as well. And be sure to review us as well. That will help us get more eyes on the show. And also, one other thing. So as of recording this, in regards to Twitch, so we recently took part in a collaboration stream with another streamer. So Kiri Bloodrose, who is currently doing a March subathon to celebrate his 1-year streaming affiliate anniversary. He did a collab tournament with the game Crab Game. And Crab Game, for those that are out of the loop, Crab Game is a parody game that you can download for free on Steam that is of Squid Game, which is a K-drama we've actually talked about in a special episode of the podcast. So if you're curious as to what this is all about, then be sure to listen to that. But we do have a special highlight upload for the full stream. It's not the full stream, but it's a full highlight of this part of the stream that we participated in. You can watch it right now on Twitch, but also on YouTube. As of recording this, it should be up on the channel right now. So you got two options, so YouTube and Twitch as well. So thank you for listening, and yeah, be sure to check that out, and be sure to hit up our Discord once again, just to stay up to date on what's going on. So this is Sanjo, and until next time, so long.